Hey, welcome to today's video. I'm Rick Chepo with DMCAagentservice.com. So today we're taking a look at a trending topic. Yes, the DMCA is a trending topic. That's pretty shocking because while a very important law, it's usually not the most exciting one. You don't read about Taylor Swift and the DMCA on TMZ's website. So what do I have going on here? Well, we have Ellen DeGeneres, George Bush, and the DMCA, and a huge brouhaha. So the facts basically involve a Dallas Cowboys game. It was on television, and during one of the breaks in the play, the cameras were panning around looking for something interesting, and they settled upon a VIP box where you had former President George Bush sitting next to Ellen DeGeneres, and they looked like they were being civil to each other and having a laugh and what have you. And this caused much consternation amongst various people. As you may have noticed, our country is slightly divided from a political perspective. And so there was much teeth gnashing and hand wringing. And one individual, Raphael Shimonov, made a video. And what happened basically was following the football game, Ellen caught wind of the fact that she was trending on Twitter, and some people were happy and some people were angry, probably a lot more angry people than happy people. And so she did a monologue for her show in which she talked about, people need to be nice to each other. Even though we have different political views, we should try to get along and so on and so forth, kind of called the Be Nice monologue. And so Mr. Shimonov took that video and then he spliced in various war images from Iraq, from when, of course, George Bush was president, and we went to war with Iraq, and obviously the images didn't show too many nice things. And so the question then was, well, was the video a form of criticism because either the producers of the show or somebody associated with Ellen DeGeneres' show submitted a DMCA takedown notice to YouTube, and YouTube took down the video. And so this caused a second set of brouhaha, and whether the DMCA was being used as a form of censorship. And the answer is yes. The DMCA was being misused. It was being used to censor a video that should have been allowed to stay up. Now, let me start by emphasizing as much as possible, this is not because of political reasons. It doesn't matter if you're liberal or conservative. We're talking about a copyright issue, and nowhere in copyright does it talk about politics. So if you're a conservative and think the video should have gone down, well, just take the same scenario, except replace George Bush with President Barack Obama, and replace Ellen DeGeneres with your favorite conservative celebrity. So essentially put the shoes on the opposite feet. And you can see where this becomes a problem. So when we have copyright law, we have a defense to copyright, which is called fair use. And there are some various standard versions of fair use that are allowed. One is parody. Another one is criticism. And what we have in this case is criticism. So we want to allow criticism as a society because it helps us see different views on particularly copyrighted works so that we can evaluate them. Now, of course, politics gets the blood rushing, so let's take it out of the equation. Let's look at a movie. We have a new movie coming out this fall, Terminator 5, The Apology. I don't know what it is. Terminator 4, Terminator 5, Dark Fate, something of that sort. Well, think about the Terminator movies. First Terminator movie, that was pretty good. Kind of a cult classic. The second Terminator movie was very good. Received high scores. A lot of people went and made bazillions of dollars. Third Terminator movie was not great. Fourth Terminator movie was and so now we have this fifth Terminator movie coming out. And as a person who perhaps enjoys movies, you're trying to figure out, should I go see this thing or not? And so maybe you go over to Rotten Tomato and you start reading reviews. Okay, well, a lot of those reviews, when you go to the actual review on whatever site they're on, they're going to have elements of the copyrighted work in those reviews. So it might be trailers. So you go onto YouTube and you see a review, somebody that's done of the new Terminator movie, and they're going to have actual parts of the movie in that review, small parts, but those are copyrighted works. Now we're going to allow that. We're always going to allow that regardless of the copyright because we want criticism. Because again, we want people to see all the different views of a particular work so they can evaluate whether they want to use the work or they agree with the work or, whatever it may be. So let's just think about this. If we didn't have the criticism fair use, let's say you go to Rotten Tomatoes and you're looking at the reviews for the new Terminator movie, and all the reviews are glowing. There's not a single negative review. And you go see the movie and you plop down your $800 or whatever it costs now to get into a movie, and it's awful. And you come out and you say, well, what the hell? I went to Rotten Tomatoes and I looked at these reviews and they were all great. Well, if we don't have the fair use, criticism allowance, that's what's going to happen. So that's why we have fair use. That's why we have the criticism, so that when you go to Rotten Tomatoes, you may see that 6 of the reviews are positive and the other 843 say this is the worst movie ever made. And you realize maybe I shouldn't pop my money down to go see the movie. And so in this case with Raphael Shimonov, we have a criticism of the Be Nice monologue. The Be Nice monologue is a copyrighted work. The video certainly is a copyrighted work, and arguably the actual speech she gave is a copyrighted work as well. And so as a matter of fair use, we're going to allow that criticism. So did YouTube violate the law by taking the video down? And the answer is no. So this is an area of the DMCA that causes a lot of confusion and a lot of anger and frustration. Under the DMCA, when a DMCA complaint comes into a website or an app, any website or an app, they are supposed to automatically take down the content. That's the way the DMCA works. They're not supposed to evaluate the complaint. Why? Because somebody at YouTube, or more importantly, somebody at some little forum somewhere, they're not a lawyer or a judge. How the hell do they know? They probably never heard of fair use. And so instead, the way the law is written, they're supposed to automatically take it down. Then they send notice to the person who posted the content, in this case, Mr. Shimonov, and they say, hey, we received this complaint. We've taken down the content. Do you want to counter notice? Do you want to send a counter notice saying, hey, I should be allowed to have this content up because of fair use, or whatever the reason is. And then at that point, the website or the app would notify the copyright owner who filed the original complaint and say, hey, this guy is saying he should be allowed to use the video. If you don't provide us with notice of a lawsuit against him within 10 to 14 days, we're going to put the video back up. That's what's required under the DMCA. The video, in this case, would go back up. Whatever the content is, would automatically go back up. So at that point, it's on the copyright infringer to decide whether they want to sue Mr. Shimonov or not, or whoever it is that's posted the content. Now, in this case, I'm pretty sure we're not going to get a lawsuit because they're going to lose. Also, there's going to be horrible PR. The PR is called the Streisand effect. The PR from the lawsuit would be far worse than the original video. I mean, it would be far more reaching. It would be devastating. And I'm sure that Ellen would say, no, we're not going this way. To that extent, also, Ellen, I'm pretty sure people are saying, how could Ellen do this? Ellen didn't do this. It's somebody. It's either a lawyer, maybe some people said a social media manager, somebody in the company did this. It's not like Ellen is sitting there submitting DMCA takedown notices herself. A little below her pay grade. So that's the way the process should work. Now, how does that lead to censorship? Well, it's rather obvious. Mr. Shimonov is probably sitting around going, well, one, do I have $100,000 to defend this? And two, do I want to spend that money defending this? And the answer in most cases is no. It's just, there's principles and there's cash on hand. How much money do you have to go defend this? Now, if he wanted to, he could probably start crowdsourcing the defense of this and get people to donate money. And I bet that they would probably get up to, whatever he needed pretty quickly, because a lot of people recognize this is just a horrible misuse of the DMCA. So, let's see how it plays out. But in a lot of cases, that money's not going to be available. And so we get an effective form of censorship. And this is kind of a classic case of it. Now, there is one other thing that's interesting is I believe the Ellen DeGeneres show is in California. And if so, the production company is probably in California as well. And that means that they are within the federal 9th district as far as the court systems. And there's a case in the 9th district that says if you were going to file a DMCA takedown notice against a website or an app, you have to first evaluate whether the content in question is being used in a fair use form. And if you do not, you can be held liable for that. So it's an added little twist here, because I think anybody looking at the video objectively would have to say this is a fair use defense. This is a fair use application. And so the company could have some bigger problems there. So it'll be interesting to see if, Mr. Shimonov tries to take action on this because it looks like he'd have a pretty decent case. So anyways, the overall writing issue here is the DMCA misused as a form of censorship? Yeah, it is. And this would be kind of a classic case where that's happened. It's unfortunate, but yeah, it does. The DMCA is certainly not a quote unquote perfect law. I think we all know that. But nobody's really come up with a better approach that's balanced, that's fair to copyright owners as well as people who are posting content under fair use defense. Maybe someday we'll get there, but copyright law as applied to the internet is just not a great mix. So we'll have to see how it plays out. So anyways, that's it for our Ellen DeGeneres, George Bush, and DMCA debacle. If you have any questions or comments, post them below. I'll be happy to answer. If you're interested in learning more about the DMCA, consider subscribing to the channel, as we'll be posting DMCA videos all the time. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. If not, I feel shame. Thumbs down. And thanks for watching. Have yourself a good one.